Hi there. So what a horrible spring we're having. It's outrageous. It's absolutely chucking it down out there. Still got my jumper on and still thinking about putting the heating on, but not quite. So today, a little bit of look around the rusty patch that I cut out. Have a good probe around there. Make sure that we've cut enough out. And equally make sure we haven't cut too little out. So a good look around, and then we will weld in, well, we might not weld in, we'll start marking up what we're going to weld in, a little bit of a plan out our strategy for how we're going to weld it, and then if we do get a chance we might put a few bits and pieces in. Also bought some new toys, like really expensive this stuff, but some sanding pads to put onto the end of the drill so I can get into some of the nooks and crannies for making sure we've got some of this horrible underseal off and just prep the area up a little bit more. So a bit more messing around, and that's about it. So last time we managed to have a look in this sort of box section here. Let me turn the lights on. There we are. So the bottom's thin, we know that. There's a nice big welded patch on here, but it's bent up. But I think we need to have a good clean up through here, hoover it all out, dust it through, see what we've got, and the new weld. Maybe what I'll be thinking about doing is welding here and here, dropping it down low. Might even weld up to here so that it's not fully dressed in, and that way I can then cut out this bead whilst I cut the bottom section out and then weld it all up in one hit. Need to tidy up this corner here a little bit. Don't quite know how I'm going to do that. With regards to the rust, I think it's very thin there, but this metal's absolutely fine. Likewise, down this leg, there was no signs of rust here, and there still isn't any signs from the inside anyway. So I'm pretty pleased we've got some good metal there, and that's what we're going to focus our attention on. I think when we cut the bottom out, we might cut it a little bit further along here to here probably, maybe just to get onto that. There's that horrible bit that we found just here where the old chassis was. Yeah, I mean that's not too bad really, but we'll see. So a bit of prep work, a bit of hoovering, we'll get there. Right, so quite a lot of time's been spent prepping the area. So I've sanded down the bottom bead there a bit so that when we put the plate on it can sit past it a bit easier. Also gone around the edges where I can to clean them up. It's tricky in that corner there, but I've managed to get that horrible rusty corner out of the way. Now for templating, where should I go? I've got the old pieces here, so I can try and find somewhere to put things. So you can see how thin and rusty the metal was. Excuse me, but really along the bottom. So it was like that on the car. So that's the box section I cut out. You can see how thin it was here on the sort of tie piece that goes to the prop shaft well area. And then you can come through here, you can see how rusty it was. I might need to cut a little bit more out as we go along, but I might do that from the bottom. But you know, there's no more holes in that area. And if you look down the profile here, well, you can particularly see it. It's not overly thin where I cut it. So I'm quite confident I got the best of it. So and you can see from here how thin it is compared to there. So I think we've cut out what we need to. We don't want to start just cutting loads and loads out of the car. So now I've got this template here, I can make a piece up out of cardboard and offer up and see how it fits. Okay, so made up the template, fits quite nicely. I've made a slight error on the cut down around the sort of arm here, but you get the idea. So I'll make it slightly oversized, only by a few mil. I can't really hold it in and do it all at once. Yeah, make it a little bit oversized, keep offering it up, and then I can cut it back where I need to. I've got 2 mil plate because doing research, the original chassis steel was slightly over 1 mil, like 1.1 mil. But I think these repairs have been done in 2mm, so I'm gonna do it in 2mm. It's not gonna do any harm. It just means I need to be careful where I'm welding thicker, well, potentially thicker steel to potentially thinner steel. But I don't think it'll be a problem. I'd rather have thicker steel through here than thinner steel. So that's what I'm going to do. Well, I'm not sure how well you can see that. There's a bit of flickering because of the... There we are. I've scratched on where I think I need to be cutting. I've left sort of about 1.5 mm around it all. I've brought this section in as well to where it needs to be. So give it a cut. Let's see how we get on. It's always best to measure twice, cut once. So I've done that. Let's go for it, eh? Wow, look at that. This is... What a craftsman. So I've quickly offered it up. Obviously, needs a bit of work, but not too much. So the idea would be for me to... It's just a little bit long, which is good. Oh, sorry, it's difficult to do two things at once. So I think I need to... The top right-hand corner needs bringing in a little bit, which will then bring, obviously, the left side of it over. The bottom needs to be... Well, that's about it, I think. Needs a bit of bending. There's a slight bend in the frame here. Meant to be, by the way. So then... Well, actually, maybe I'll do that first, actually. Once I've put a bend in, it might bring it together a little bit. In fact, that is what I'm going to do first. Before I cut any more out, maybe it just needs a bit more bending. So that's what I'm going to do now, and then we'll see how we go on. Right, some high precision bending has occurred. Much happier with how it sits in the chassis leg now. You can see there, might need a bit more, but it does mean that I just need to take off 1 mm or 2 on this left hand edge here for it to sit in properly, and then we can start clamping it. The good thing is, because I've got that hole at the bottom, I can clamp it a bit better and maybe get into position. So got options really. So I'm going to start easing off that other edge, and then we can see where we are. Right, there we are. Not a bad fit if you ask me. Not bad at all. So the right hand side needs tapping in, but I'm fearful to take any more off than that because the gaps will get too big. There is a slightly large gap at the bottom there, which I'm going to have a little think about what I do. I might gusset it with another plate, or I might try and fill that, but it's quite large and it's a bit horrible. Probably going to be a gusset, to be honest with you. If that's what it's even called, probably not. Someone's going to correct me. So yeah, I'm going to clamp this in, try and get 3 sides done. I've left it long on purpose at the bottom, see, so that I can push that in as I need to when I do the bottom part. So a bit of a clean up of the metal. I've gone around the edges, but could do with a bit more of a clean up on the new metal and the old, and then maybe we could put a couple of welds in. Ooh. Alright, I've sort of welded what I need to weld. Some bits went well, some bits not so well. Especially on the right hand side there, it was pretty grimy. So I'm going to sand this down. Obviously this is flux core, so it's bloody awful anyway. Let's go over this, see what we've got, but more importantly, let's see what we've got on the inside of the chassis. Oh, I'll tell you what, I'm having a bit of a nightmare. So it's coming down okay. So there's one hole there, and I've tried to go over it again. The metal keeps burning through. I think it might need another. I need to cut out and get some good stuff there. I'm going to keep going and having a look at it, but it's just so thin. It just pinholes. The rest I can make okay, actually. Just that one bit there, it's very frustrating. And for those of you that don't like seeing my dogs, here's a dog. And for those of you who do like seeing my dog, here's a dog. I'm starting to get frustrated now. So I'm going to call it here, really. There's obviously a lot more work to do on here. I'm starting to close the gap, which is good, but I'm starting to rush, starting to get frustrated. So I think the best thing to do in a situation like this is to stop and have a rethink, regroup, and have another go another time, which will be tomorrow morning, I think. So lucky you. But generally speaking, it's nice to see some fresh metal in there. I'm concerned that this bottom corner won't push over as far as I want, and I've got to just maybe cut that weld there a little bit. It's only tacked in there so that I could push it over, so, but we'll see. But good progress made, and a long way to go, but at least we got something back in again. Needs a lot of work to it though, and I'm sure there's going to be some horrendous comments about my welding, which is fine. Like I say, I'm going to get this all checked over before hitting the road, sand things down, make sure any holes are sorted out, and then of course I can have a closer look from the inside once I start messing around with the box section underneath. So there we have it for the time being. Thank you.